Well, hello and welcome to the Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you cultivate a life you love. Your mindset is like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned, and this is your mindset workout. Now, I know a lot of people right now are finding it difficult to deal with the day-to-day stress, with COVID and lockdown, and depending on, of course, where you are, that lockdown may or may not be in effect. But so many people are experiencing stress. And what I want to focus on today is the power of meditation. Meditation, I mean, there's so many wonderful benefits. We're going to talk about the emotional health, the physical health, and so much more to really help you with your overall well-being. Science is also catching up with meditation, and I think that's phenomenal because there's definitely, I think, a perception or misconception of what meditation is. So I've brought in my friends, my experts who are going to tell you all about meditation, and more specifically, we're going to talk about Streamline Meditation, which is the purest form of meditation. So I know that we're living in this day and age of instant gratification. So we're just going to go straight to the source, get Streamline Meditation working for us. So I want to welcome my guests today. I've got two gentlemen who are co-creators working to, build awareness to the world on meditation and Streamline, the purest form of meditation. I have Malcolm Fletcher, who is the founder of Streamline Meditation. Malcolm, it is such a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure, Tania. Thanks for having me.
And also, I mean, wow, wealth of knowledge, 49 years meditating. So I think at this point, Malcolm, you've learned a thing or two throughout those years, huh?
Yeah, one could say that. I mean, it should be a journey of discovery, and that just should broaden as we go down that road. Mm-hmm. And certainly my journey has been like that. Probably that wasn't the case in the first 10 years of my journey with meditation. Joined a highly successful meditation group, but there was a fixity to the process that slowly became evident that wasn't letting me move forward. And so from that point on, the journey really exploded.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're, looking really forward to learning more about that because, of course, there are so many different types of meditation. So really important to really get an understanding of what Streamline is and how it can help us, move forward in even just the day-to-day life or living. And so I'd also love to welcome Troy Drake. It's a pleasure to have you here, CEO of Streamline Meditation and head coach. And I know, Troy, for you, this has really been quite a career shift moving into Streamline Meditation and being the CEO. So welcome here on the Mindset Mentor today.
Thank you, Tania. It's great to be on and great to have a chat with you.
Yes, it's so good. This is a chat I think that is so needed right now where we are, in the global climate. So I want to talk to you, Troy, about your journey in meditation. Well, you both have extremely interesting journeys, so we'll delve into both of those. But Troy, I think right now, your experience is so relative to everybody out there where, you were bombarded and overloaded with stress. And I think many people seek meditation to alleviate some of the stress and the anxiety and the pressure. And I know for you, you had a lot of even, health issues related to stress. So I'd love for you to delve in a little bit deeper and share your story with us.
Yep. No, definitely. Well, obviously, I had created a company that was turning over quite a bit of money, had quite a lot of staff within that company, and I hadn't learned to manage my stress very well. So throughout that process, I ended up in hospital a couple of times with stress-related illnesses. Because the nervous system, the way it works is basically sits right where your lymphatic system is. So a stressed nervous system is going to then cause a series of illnesses because of the breakdown of your immune system. So these illnesses that I had, they were just, I had meningitis. I ended up with meningitis. Then I had some blood infection, and it's all related to not having a strong immune system due to stress. And it was only because I hadn't learned how to cope well with stress. And the second stint in hospital made me sit back and think, well, is this all worth it? Is it? Am I enjoying it? And the answer was no, I wasn't. So I had to look at a way to better manage that stress, and obviously meditation was something I was always drawn to, but it was also something that I hadn't delved into too much at that point in my life. So obviously went on a little journey, had a bit of a look at 3 organisations. One was Transcendental Meditation. Another one was called the Australian Academy of Meditation here in Australia. And the third one was Streamline Meditation. And when I did that at that point, we had the old yellow pages, which we didn't have the internet that we have today. And
if anyone doesn't know what the yellow pages are, that big giant book of many pages with the phone numbers, archaic directory.
Yep. And I did contact the 3 organisations, but the funny thing was that Streamline Meditation, which was Malcolm at that time, was just the ad was the smallest ad in the book. Everyone had this big glossy ad, and Malcolm had Streamline Meditation and a mobile number. So that was the ad. But rest assured, when he was the third person I rang, and when I spoke to him, we connected, resonated, and off I went for my introduction session into meditation, and had some pretty profound experiences within that introduction. So I was hooked, and then went on my journey of developing my own practice initially, but I made sure that I stayed in contact with Malcolm and kept talking to him about my experiences and how they were going. And at that time, Malcolm was a wealth of knowledge in meditation, still is, obviously, and he passed on a lot of knowledge there, and eventually I just knew it was too good for it not to be out there to the world and helping people in business, helping people with stress. But meditation also goes far greater than just stress release, but without a doubt, people in business should be utilising it just to manage their day-to-day stress, and my experience with it has been profound.
Oh, I love that. So profound experience. It started with a small ad, but huge impact. I love that, and I think it's so key for us to empower ourselves to make the choices that will allow us to live our best life. And the state of constant stress, which many people are experiencing, is not a normal state, right? So we have the control and the ability to make choices that will take us out of that state. And I think meditation is certainly an excellent way to do that. And so I want to, touch base now with you, Malcolm. And so Troy came to you in need of some assistance. And, how similar is that to, the people who are approaching you for meditation? And I really want to delve into that because I think a lot of people have different beliefs around meditation, and they think that, well, you have to be following a path of, following a guru or a mystic, or it's only for certain types of people. So can you share your thoughts on that and who meditation is for?
I'd love to, because meditation is only ever about you. It's not about the other. It's about you making your own discovery of your full depth. Why that's important, there is a depth to us, a profound depth to us that we rarely connect with. When we're wandering along a deserted beach after a beautiful weekend and we see a sunset, we may have moments of ecstasy where we think how beautiful this world is. But it's conditional. We needed to be on that beach, have that weekend off, and see that sunset with fresh eyes. Meditation gives us the tool to be able to access that depth, that profundity of ourself whenever we want. It's always there. It's always present. We don't want to just wait for that beautiful sunset, right? We want to be able to daily tap our inner reserves of peace, happiness, creativity, and let them flow over into our daily life. Meditation is all about you. I know that there's a lot of misconceptions, but when we come down to the purity of it all, it is only ever about you and how grand and wonderful we really are when we tap our totality.
I love that, because I mean, that's so encouraging for people, because everybody has that ability and has that within. And I think that clarifies things, because people who, especially as a beginner in a meditation practice, they have the tendency to say, I'm not doing it right. I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to still my mind, calm the mind. So what would you say to that when you are dealing with someone who's never meditated before, and, to guide them into meditating in a way that would be beneficial?
Well, first of all, let me say that Streamline Meditation is comparatively quite different from the traditional techniques of meditation. In fact, it's not a technique at all. Meditation has never been a technique and never will be. It's a state of your being. And so when someone comes along to learn meditation, what we find today is, even if you've never meditated, we all have an idea, we've got to watch the breath, or we've got to repeat a mantra, or we've got to do this. So a lot of these preconceived ideas are already there because of the article, or they've heard something from someone, or they might have tried meditation in a yoga class, etc. But the difference is, the streamline difference is that rather than require an object to meditate upon, we say it's get rid of it. It's all about not having any object to meditate. It's about the inner silence. A way to guide people step by step so that they can make that discovery for themselves. It's not dependent on a technique. It's simply something we have overlooked. There's a doorway there that we have missed. And we can find that sunset within ourselves.
That's so beautiful. And that actually is, makes it so much easier for people. There's no technique. It's like going to the gym, right? There's all these different, fitness machines, and you're like, well, which one do I use? But then you can just use literally your own body as your resistance. So I kind of, think of it in that same way. It's just you, the purity of who you are, the perfection of who you already are, not having to be somebody else, just tapping into that different energy source, I would imagine. And so we're going to take a short break here on the Mindset Mentor, and we will be back with more on the power of meditation and how it can really help to improve your overall well-being. There's so many benefits to meditation, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. So stay with us, and we will be back. Hello, and welcome back to the Mindset Mentor. So the question is today is, how are you feeling? Are you relaxed, calm, feeling peaceful, or do you have that constant mind chatter, the chaos, the stress? And I know a lot of you are experiencing that right now because, listen, we're human, life happens, and we do get bombarded with all kinds of pressure and stress and tension throughout our day. So this show today is dedicated to you feeling calmer, and learning the power of meditation. I've brought in the experts on Streamline Meditation, which is the purest form of meditation. So what does that mean? Well, stay tuned and we're going to learn more about it. You know, there's a lot of different types of meditation practices out there. So I have the founder and the CEO, both of them joining me today from Streamline Meditation. And I'm going to just jump right back into the conversation. And Malcolm, I want to talk to you again about Streamline and the difference, and how Streamline can be so effective and yet have no method, or not method, let's say no technique. I've done meditation, many types of meditation throughout my years. You know, I started, I think, with doing a mantra. I've done the mantra. I've done oh, geez, so many. And one that I absolutely did not like was the focusing on a flame. That just, I did not resonate with that at all. And I don't know why. I mean, everyone's got their thing, which may work. But I'm curious because I know for you, Malcolm, that you have meditated for 49 years and you have tried the techniques, and you did start with transcendental meditation, which was, you know, quite a big deal out there. And you did train with the guru, right? And that's, I think, interesting where we are today in the more of a modern sense of meditation and from where you started. So I'd love to kind of talk a little bit more about that transition for you.
Yeah, well, I did start with the TM movement. In fact, I was trained as an initiator of transcendental meditation by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in Switzerland, Belgium. I trained with him, and I taught meditation for quite a few years. But gradually, as time went by, there was some obvious flaws in the techniques of meditation. They're all essentially the same. Mm-hmm. The object changes. You mentioned repeating a mantra. You mentioned concentrating on a flame. You could be watching the breath. All that is quite immaterial because the instruction is you watch the breath. When the mind wanders, you bring the awareness back to the breath. That's pretty standard in all these traditional approaches to meditation. The problem is when you drift off, when the mind drifts away from the object of meditation, the instruction to bring it back to the object is very problematic in the long run. Because right at that moment in time, it's a very precious moment, your most pure, delicate awareness has returned to you without any effort, without any force, without any direction whatsoever. Now, that moment is pure. If we abide in that moment, a kind of a doorway opens. If we jump over it, we miss that opportunity to become self-aware. And that's what meditation is all about, awareness of yourself. Why that's important? Because you are much grander, much more beautiful than what you think you are on the surface level. On the surface level, there's all these judgments and all these critiques and comparisons. But when we transcend to the totality, to the depth of our being, there is no such judgments. There's just the wonder of you, the deep gratitude of your gift, your life. And so that's where I found the first hiccup. And I found very problematic because the instruction to return to the object of meditation forms a habit. And we know it's like eating chocolate. You have a piece of chocolate one day, tomorrow you want two. Habits form very quickly. And so what you find is you've set up this subtle interplay where you're always making a subtle choice at the critical point. And that choice is to return to the object. In actual fact, what we want is awareness, pure. We want to experience pure awareness in its choiceless state. The late Krishnamurti always defined meditation like that the state of meditation is choiceless awareness. Usually our awareness is contaminated totally and directed and guided by the choices we make. But in this moment of silence, choice doesn't do us any service. It shouldn't be there. So that was my first sense that the direction I was heading was bound instead of boundless, limited rather than limitless. And meditation should echo those two latter qualities.
Beautiful. And I think
and unboundedness.
Yeah, and I think, if you haven't tried it before, it's something that you need to experience, I think, really, to really fully comprehend that, to have that beautiful awareness, right? And so, thank you for sharing that. And I want to talk, Troy, to a little bit more to the point of the streamline and how people can, experience what Malcolm was just talking about. So you've created, a forum for people to come together to meditate. And, let's talk about the difference there, because I think some people believe that meditation is certainly for just the self. You can meditate wherever, in a room by yourself or what have you, or maybe just with one other person. But in terms of a forum where you're, doing it via, the internet, how does that really work in terms of the efficacy and also just the energetic, connection?
Yeah, no, it's without a doubt the live sessions are profound. Like, as members will always talk of the live sessions being, a deeper experience, more energy to it, more energy flow, and it's because of that collective consciousness coming together on a live meditation. Now, yeah, we're scattered all over the world. We're sort of teaching in 8 countries, and people are coming together and formed a community there in meditating together. But that connection through Zoom is quite powerful.
Yeah, and I should just let everybody know as well that Streamline, by the way, is in Australia. So, and right now I'm being joined by Troy Drake, who's the CEO of Streamline Meditation, and the founder, Malcolm Fletcher, who is the founder again of Streamline Meditation, via Zoom from Australia to right here, to live at Sauga 960. So pretty cool that we can do this. So just want to clarify that for everyone. So please continue, Troy.
Yeah, you're good. It is, and it's great. It's great to be able to come together and all meditate, and the power of doing it, as a live group session, is that collective consciousness raises the energy. So then, everybody benefits from that. And on top of that, the biggest thing that we at Streamline like to do is give people an education, an understanding of that naturally occurring meditation, that deeper form of meditation. And that's what we're about. We're about giving you the education, the understanding, so it's yours. It's not ours. We've just been fortunate enough to be shown something and become aware of something that is quite profound. So sharing that knowledge is what we're all about. And through doing live sessions is a critical point, because if you have a question or you have an experience that you're not sure of, you can ask the question there and then, and everybody within the group gets to learn from that question. That's why the live sessions are so important, and that's why really all our sessions, we do have recorded ones, that will lead you into meditation, bring you out of meditation, but they're more like a timer thing, and they're there for all the members, different, 10 minutes, 20 minute, 40-minute meditations. But the live meditation sessions where we all come together give you that understanding, the education in and around meditation, but also that group consciousness that allows that energy level to rise. And that's a critical point for anyone that, on a meditative journey, to be able to experience those things.
I love that. And, full transparency out there, everyone. I am a member, with Streamline Meditation. And before I actually tried Streamline, I was a skeptic. I'm going to be honest. I thought, how is it possible to really fully get the benefit of meditation through, a virtual experience, right? And the reason that I say that is that, I'd never tried it. I mean, I was used to just meditating by myself, and tried many different techniques, but it was always by myself and never in a group. And so for me, I thought, well, I like to be open-minded and I like to try things. So I'm going to go for it. And I like to be supportive. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to see what this is all about. And I was blown away by the powerful connection. So now I actually choose always to meditate through the live form versus doing a meditation by myself. Now, sometimes it's just, depending on timing, I might just have to do one myself, but I always have a more powerful meditation doing it in a group. And I think for me, that was one of the most surprising elements of Streamline. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around, like, wow, there is definitely something in terms of the energetic connection. So what can you add to that, gentlemen?
Well, really, just coming together and the energy, that collective energy is, it's what Streamline's all about, is bringing us all together to meditate, to get that education, to get that understanding. So it's the energy that flows through, and that collective consciousness is far greater than one. Two is always stronger than one. And when we come together as a group, that just creates a higher level of energy. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Malcolm.
Yeah, and well, hard to, because it is all about that connectivity. I mean, we know when we meet people in our everyday life how we connect or don't connect with them. But that's just all on the surface level, how we interact with people generally. But then we have more intimate relationships with our family, our partners, children, etc. And we know those connections run deeper. When we meditate, when you transcend, when you arrive at a point of perfect stillness, at that point, there is no boundary. And it's the same point within all of us, whether you're conscious of it or not. And so as a meditator, when we touch on that point, we feel a certain beauty to the connectivity we have with others. And as meditators coming together, it just amplifies that. It's like anything, you can go off and do things on your own, and that's all great. But like you say, you appreciate when you hang out with some people, like-minded people, and you have this experience, it does seem to embellish it in some way.
Yeah.
And in the old days, that was recognized, and there were many schools of meditation and many groups formed for that very reason. The point I just want to finish on here is, however, pure meditation recognizes your sovereignty, your individuality, and it's all about you standing in your own light, in your own power. So you're not corrupted or dominated by anyone. And certainly this group honors that. It's not about tying anyone down. It's just an expression of joy. If you have a moment, come and meditate with us. If you meditate in your car, not while you're driving, or in the office or home, wherever suits you, it's something that you can access no matter where you are. But there is a special beauty to collective meditation.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about that collective beauty when we come back. We're going to take a short break here again on the Mindset Mentor and be back with more on the power of meditation, and specifically Streamline Meditation, which is the purest form of meditation, and to be able to stand in your light and stand in your own power, as Malcolm and Troy were describing. I think that is a goal for everybody, to just be your pure, authentic self. And it's interesting how I think we have this belief that it has to be hard, right, in order to do that. But in fact, you've stripped away the layers and made it very easy for people to really find that perfection of who they are. So we will continue after this break. Stay with us and we'll be back. Welcome back to the Mindset Mentor, helping you cultivate a life you love. Today, we're focusing on the power of meditation. I cannot stress the benefits enough. I love meditation, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about meditation many times throughout my shows, because it truly is a game changer. It is a life-changing tool. It can absolutely alter, the quality of your life. And I think right now, more than ever, it is so important that we really do what we can to ensure that we are taking care of ourselves and to ensure that we are living our best lives. There's a lot of stress, obviously, in the world today, and we want to get rid of some of that stress and the tension and all of that. So we're focusing today on Streamline Meditation, which is the purest form of meditation. I have both the founder and the CEO of Streamline joining me today, and we're going to get right back into the conversation. And by the way, it's Malcolm Fletcher and Troy Drake, and good friends of mine, so it's really good to have you guys here. I've been enjoying my Streamline meditation immensely, and this is how I really help to be calmer, to minimize the stress and the tension. And there's so many benefits which we will delve into. But Troy, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about, the no technique philosophy behind Streamline, because it is quite different than a lot of the other types of meditation. And we're really stripping away all of the external and getting to the source. So let's delve a little deeper in that.
Yeah, no, that'd be great, Tania. It's basically, mind works the same as the universal law of polarity. And universal law of polarity simply means that everything has an equal and exact opposite. So you can't have an up without a down, back without a front, hot without a cold. Mm-hmm. Can't have that busy, conscious, waking level of consciousness without equally having a quiet, still, well-rested, conscious level mind. So that well-rested, conscious level mind, that finer level of the thinking process already exists within us. It's not something we have to do. It's not a technique that we have to create it. We just simply need to be shown where to turn our awareness and allow our mind to do what it can already do, and that's transcend. And transcend is just simply go beyond that current state of consciousness that we're experiencing it to a more rested, quiet level of consciousness. And the way the consciousness works in meditation is they talk of the 4 levels. So you got waking conscious, dream state consciousness, deep sleep, and then the 4th state, which they call Turiya, which is just pure consciousness. So pure consciousness already exists within us. It's already there. We just need to bring our awareness to it and be shown where to bring our awareness to it. So you got to remember too, meditation takes place within the thought stream. A lot of people believe and have this belief that when we close our eyes, that we're getting to meditate, that we shouldn't be thinking and thought shouldn't be there. But the space that we're bringing awareness to is what all thought and all experiences flow through. So we're going to experience some thought here and there throughout our meditation, and we're going to experience that more, that more subtle level of the thinking process. But there's a process to that. So sometimes thought's going to flow through the space and we're going to be aware of it, but that's okay. We're not trying to stop that because it's a natural process of the mind to create thought and think. But yes, equally, we can move beyond that and go to a state that is with no thought. And it's a still quite well-rested place. And the beauty with that transcendence is, yes, we can already do it. Everybody can already do it. We don't need to focus on the breath or use a mantra. When we utilize these tools, the breath, the mantra, listen to a guided technique of meditation, what we're doing is we're actually drawing our awareness away from what's most important. And it's just that subtle awareness and being aware of that space. So once we connect with that space, our mind can already transcend. It can already move beyond that busy waking level consciousness down to that more restful, quiet level of consciousness. So, and the beauty with all that is once wherever the mind leads, the body must follow. So mind's movement, mind leads to that rested place, the body then follows into a deep state of rest. And with that deep state of rest, we can start to cast off deep accumulated stress and tension that's embedded into the nervous system. And through that release, the mind may get active because the mind needs to relate it to something. And as long as we allow that activity to flow through that space and not sit there and get into an argument with ourselves that we shouldn't be thinking because that's our perception of meditation, that we can't think, we allow that stress to be released, and it allows us to deepen our meditative experience. Beautiful. So that is why we don't use the techniques. You can already transcend without any technique. You have that ability already.
Well, thank you for that clarity, because I think it just makes it so much easier for people to really understand and to really start to experience the benefits of casting off that stress and the tension, on the nervous system, and to know that, hey, it's okay to have those thoughts, so that we don't constantly beat ourselves up and think, well, I'm doing it wrong, as so many people have a tendency when they are working with a technique. So I love that simplified, no technique, pure source, streamline experience of pure meditation. So Malcolm, I'd love to talk to you about some of the benefits to meditation, which of course there are many. And so not only just sort of the benefits of sitting, in a moment of meditation, but the long-term benefits as well. If you could, share that with us, would be awesome.
Yes, definitely. The one point I just wanted to add there, now that we're talking about the benefits of meditation, it is an effortless process. Meditation is all about coming back home to your true self. And what we mean by that is everyone has a notion of their self. They have an idea of a feeling of their self. But we say it can be far greater than we think. The totality of our being is virtually limitless. And so to come back home to that, what Troy just described there, I just wanted to add to that it is effortless. There is no effort between you and yourself. So that's why the process works so beautifully. It's just settling down into your depth. We have a very pragmatic to just step you into that. All it is really, this sounds kind of crazy, but it's just something we have overlooked. And the busy mind will do that because it's always what's next. In that pause, there is a doorway, and it is so beautiful. But anyway, to talk about benefits, I think we'll just go into the most noticeable and the most wonderful benefits. We touched on stress release. People today are suffering a lot of stress and tension in their life. Some people, unfortunately, don't even realize that because there's no alternative. But meditation differs in that it shows that at our depth, there is this calm state. And once we tap it, it will overflow into everything you do. And the reason why that happens is because we release stress out of the nervous system. So we start to hold that calm state in our activity. And the funny thing is, the more calm we are, the less stress we pick up. So we become much more resilient when we're out there doing our business and running around and doing all the things we have to do in our life. Instead of finding it a burden or feeling that it's wearing us out, it actually is a great joy because we are stress-free. And that happens exactly the way Troy said. But there's also mental benefits, improved brain function that occurs with this, a greater sense of purpose where you feel like you start heading in directions which are congruent with your deeper self, where you want to go, where
So
you
is it
need to go.
right? So is it releasing some of that struggle and resistance then that we sometimes find ourselves in? Can we, I guess, tap into more of a flow state?
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly right. In a state of flow, you're always going to be performing appropriate action. You're going to be heading in more into the right direction. It doesn't mean that we're flawless or won't make errors, but they will happen less and less. And the decisions that we take and the directions that we head are guided by that state of flow, or arising from that state of flow will be much more beneficial to our lifestyle. It'll help build our lifestyle. The other thing I wanted to touch on was health. When we release stress from the nervous system, we improve our sense of well-being and our health dramatically. Now, there's a high consensus today that a lot of illnesses are psychosomatic, or at least they're not helped by stressful lifestyles or high levels of stress and tension. We all know that. So obviously, to free ourselves up from a huge stress load that we're carrying around with us, and we don't even know we've got it half the time, it's a direct bearing on our sense of well-being. And I guess the final point I want to make before I finish here is relationships. Actually, someone said to me the other day, I think it was you. You said one of the worst things about this lockdown is just that lack of interaction with others. We are such social animals. We really are. We love people. We love interacting with others. And if we aren't able to do that, we do suffer from it. There was a show that I watched, a series called Alone, and it was about these people. They plonked in the wilderness to survive on their wits and whatever nature could provide them. But by far, the greatest challenge was the aloneness of it. That's what brought most of them undone. So to be able to not just have relationships with others, but to be able to connect with others on a much more substantial level and on a more fulfilling level is so important. And this simple strategy does that. It opens you up, and therefore it opens you up to others much more beautifully, in a way to connect with others in a more rewarding kind of way. And, stress is one of the greatest killjoys in our relationships, stress and tension. Once we start to minimize that, you will see how your relationships begin to flourish in a way that quite often is quite surprising.
Wow, so beautifully said. And, it is so true that, all of our relationships are so essential, right? And we want to foster a better relationship in every situation, but we also want to foster a better relationship with ourselves. And I think, at this time, especially during COVID, where there is a lot of lockdown, around the entire world, and isolation and, lack of interaction with people, we do have to really start to appreciate, that sense of self. So there's definitely a difference between being lonely and being alone. And they're two different things, right? So I think it's about also learning how to be comfortable with being by yourself. But also, obviously, connection is so important. And so you can get that connection simply by, tapping into that purest state of meditation so that you don't feel alone and that you don't feel isolated. There is that purity, and I think that's such a sweet spot for us to get into, at this time. And I will absolutely say, for me, there is no doubt in my mind that Streamline Meditation has helped me cope with the feelings of, being alone. I live by myself, so I'm in a lockdown, and is it a struggle to, not to see loved ones? Yeah, absolutely. But you have to find, what's going to make you happy, and you realize that you can have that that perfect happiness and that perfection within yourself if you allow yourself the opportunity to just sort of settle into that.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both on the show today. And just before we leave, I just want you to just tell us how we can find Streamline, how we can join in on the live meditations, or even some of the recordings on there. How can they find you?
I'll let Troy direct them to that.
You would just find us through streamlinemeditation.com, and obviously there's a membership site that you can jump on, join the membership. You can either pay as a monthly subscription, no lock-in contracts. Get in, there's 29 live sessions a week, plus the recorded sessions, master classes, and we certainly answer your questions as you go along, and that's the critical point. It's all about our members getting an education and an understanding in those deeper, naturally occurring meditations and the experiences they have. So, love to have anybody join, get on board. It's a great experience for all. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been so great having you both here. And don't forget to continue to work on your mindset. It is like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned. And if you have the opportunity, I would say join in the Streamline Meditation. And hey, I might see you on there because I'm usually on a live meditation at least a couple times a day. And, truly it is a game changer. If you're not incorporating any meditation, I highly recommend it. So make sure that you do what you can to focus on your overall well-being. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next Saturday here on Sauga 960 AM.